I'm Brian with New Car Spin, and with me is Jamie Morrow from Bugatti. Hello, Jamie.
Hi there. Good to see you.
Yes. Good night.
Good night.
No, wait, you're not Australian.
Close. But not quite.
This is the Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport. Over there is the Bugatti Sport, which I drove in a previous video. Go check that out. It was amazing and fascinating. An hour-long goodness of just nerding out on the Chiron. Today we're going to nerd out on the Chiron Pur Sport. So Jamie will walk us around and give us a real quick tour of the changes for this vehicle that are basically upgrades or changes or a different expression of this vehicle. Pull the trigger twice. There you go. Okay, so I will let you give us some of the flavor of what this car is about.
Yeah, I mean, it was great that we have the two cars next to each other here. There's a lot of very kind of subtle design cues on here. If you look at the headlights, for example, we have a more detailed line here, sharper line here. The headlights are actually set a little bit further back for a more aggressive look. And the line, the eyebrow line we have here is more angled than on the standard car. We have bigger air dams at the front, we have a larger splitter, we have a slightly different shaped Bugatti horseshoe at the front here as well. The 16 is an option, that's not not pure sport designing as such.
And a little fun fact is that's 970 pure silver with ceramic.
It is, yeah. So that's the only part of the car which weight hasn't been a focus. So
it's called the macaron.
There you go. Yeah. So pure silver.
I was really terrible in school. I got bad grades, but I'm really good at knowing things now.
And there's some other design cues on here which are a little bit more aggressive in terms of the styling. We have these vents on the wing here to release air pressure from the wheel arch. And also, all of the lines on the car are a little bit more aggressive than on the Chiron Sport. So as we go around, you'll see that through the car. Interesting, if we like nerding out, interesting part here, the carbon fiber windshield arm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, windshield wiper arm. So that's pretty cool and unique. So all very focused on the weight saving.
Wow. Is that only on the Pure Sport?
We have it on the Sport as well.
It's on the Sport too. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it was like an extreme weight saving measure, but it's still just a cool thing.
It's definitely that, but yeah. And then in terms of the with the wheels, we have an option on Pure Sport. We have a magnesium wheel option, which the wheels alone save around 35 pounds, and it's unsprung weight. So of course very important in terms of the dynamics of the vehicle being unsprung. We're not running that right now. We're currently running the Sport wheel on this particular car that we have. But we do have the new tyre, which is for the Pure Sport. So it's the Michelin Sport Cup 2R, and the R relates purely to the Pure Sport. It is a softer compound rubber
than the
regular Chiron and the Chiron Sport.
Okay, but they're the same Michelins. They're Michelins, but not the same Michelin. This is the R version.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a Michelin Sport Cup on the Chiron Sport we have over there as well. Yeah, the R version is for the Pure Sport.
I imagine these aren't cheap tires.
Do you know, there was a lot made about Veyron with the fact that the tyre changes were very expensive for a couple of reasons. A, the tyres, B, there are only 2 tyre machines in the world that could actually remove the tyre from the rim because it's that tightly bound onto it. One was in LA and one was at the factory. Now for Chiron, any Bugatti retailer can change the tyres, and they're a lot more affordable than they were on the Chiron, and it's just technology's moved on. You know, it was a long time ago with the Chiron.
That's true.
Yeah, so
that's true.
It's a lot better now. Also with the wheels and talking about tires, we run more negative camber now. So we have negative 2.5 degrees of camber on the Pure Sport. And we can do that because we have a lower top speed on here, which I'll come to. And by putting more camber on there, we actually can make the car feel a little bit more kind of pointy on the front end and on the back end.
Yeah.
And by running, if we're running in the Chiron or the Chiron Chiron or the Chiron Sport with a very high top speed, if we run a lot of camber, that's very hard on the tires when you're in a straight line. So because we have a lower top speed in the Pure Sport, we can run that additional camber without it being an issue for tire temperature.
Okay.
Coming around to the back, we have the thing that everybody notices, of course, at first. We have the wing on here, which is now a fixed wing rather than the active wing that we have on the other models. So, you know, it's a design thing, but also by having a fixed wing, we can remove the hydraulics to activate the active wing, and that's a big part of the weight saving as well, the 110-pound weight saving.
Now, we discussed in the sport video, which is really exciting, and you should watch that, because we had it where the wing was actually managing the heat after the engine had been running, and I could see the heat right now just kind of wafting out of there. So I could see that we still have the same kind of exit point for heat, but this will never go down. This is a fixed wing, so
correct.
The heat management is still a part of it.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, it will never go down. Same heat management. The engine is essentially the same. So all the heat management works in the same way. The radiators work in the same way. We do have a larger rear diffuser on here compared to the other models in the Chiron range. And we have the titanium 3D printed exhaust trim on the back there as well. Yeah. It's hard, but light. Yeah.
It's titanium.
And really, in terms of driving the car, the biggest change you're going to feel is the low ratio gearbox. So we now have it's actually 80% new internal parts for the gearbox over the other models of Chiron. And top gear in here, 7th gear in here is roughly 5.2 in the other Chiron models. So it's quite a big difference. So you really feel that helps our in-gear performance as well as our initial acceleration.
I also want to see, is there a difference between the interior of the Pur Sport?
Yeah, there is, yeah. Again, it comes down to your personal preference and how you spec the car.
Okay.
For example, the pattern here is an option.
Okay.
You can have, in our car here, we have all of the brightware is blacked out, so the door handles, the center spine down there.
Oh, yes.
But again, that is an option. It's not pure sport related as such.
Okay, so now we have a immediate compare and contrast between the two. Very convenient.
So in the Chiron Sport, we could black it out like we have it here, or in the Pure Sport, we could have it chrome. So it's very personal preference.
Very nice. I also like the door sills here. Sport. So should we drive it?
Let's drive it.
Let's drive it. Okay,
Let's
do it. Let's get in. You want to hold this and actually give it to Jamie?
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
How do I get it so it...
Yeah, it's this trigger here. You just press it twice. Okay, so I feel like there's more room in here. It's weird.
Oh, interesting.
I feel like there's a lot more leg room for some reason, and maybe that's just me, but I'm also trying to slide the seat forward. I'm like, oh, it doesn't work.
I forgot to say that.
Manual. So this really is pure sport.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And then the seat back is powered.
Yeah. So it's only the front and back that's manual now.
And then obviously a manual.
Yeah.
A manual steering wheel. Now I showed this in the sport video. I'm going to show it here because it's got to be worth it. This is a French lighter. When you're in a room full of aristocrats, that gets the attention of a lot of people. And the equivalent of that is starting up this W16 engine. So foot on the brake. I'll be right back. Okay, let me get my seatbelt on.
Yeah.
Okay. So, it's doing its thing.
Yeah, that'll crank up in a sec.
Safety first. I gotta have.
There you go.
Totally forgot. Sorry about that, Jamie.
No problem. Okay. And then we'll put it in lift mode now, so that it's kind of done by the time we get down to that
okay.
thing. So same as before, yeah.
I'm also gonna I'm gonna put this below my nose because my glasses are fogging up otherwise, so I think we'll be good. Okay, so it's lifting, I hear the clicking.
Yep, it's lifting now, it's confirmed it's in lift.
The AC's already on and cold.
It's on.
Yeah.
And then we'll, everything works in the same way, so it's identical to the Chiron Sport that you just drove in terms of the gearbox, in terms of the drive mode. The only thing that is different in terms of drive modes is we have an additional drive mode, which is called Sport Plus mode, which reduces ESC even further. But you know, really track focused, track orientated for that mode.
Okay.
But yeah, everything else in terms of drive control is the same as before.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. So this is my second Chiron drive, 2 in one day. It's amazing. It's like obviously like bucket list. People have asked me as an automotive journalist when they meet me, they go, "What's the fastest car you've driven?" And I've said, "Oh, the Bentley Continental." They go, "What's the most powerful car?" I'd say, "Oh, the Challenger Hellcat Redeye, 797 horsepower." And then they go, "Hey, what's the most expensive car?" And I'd be like, "Oh, the Rolls-Royce Ghost." But today, I drove that Chiron Sport, which was $3.4 or $3.5 million.
Yeah.
And today, the Pure Sport I'm driving usurps that one in 2 ways. No, 1 way. So this is just more expensive. This is actually $4 million. That one's actually faster, a faster top speed for the Sport. So if you're looking for all-out pure speed, as far as top speed, you'd get that Chiron there. If you wanted more of I'm assuming, aggressive experience, which we're going to find out right now, you would get the Pure Sport. And this is the same amount of horsepower. It's not different tuning. It's just a different setup.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, different geometry, different aerodynamics, and different gearbox. So key.
Okay, so let's go ahead and show how this works. Put that in foot on the brake, drive. Yep, it's there. Park and brake off. I'm gonna roll the window down here. All right, can you back up and take a still shot of that?
I'm about to right now.
Cameraman.
Brian, I just want to see your face. Like, yeah, perfect.
Okay. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Let's put this map on.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Let's hold this for a second. So we got the AC set, everything's good to go. We have our gauges. This is a different steering wheel. We'll talk about all this as we hit the road.
Yep.
Thank you, Jamie, for holding the camera today.
No problem. Just the curb kind of comes out a little bit there, just FYI.
Okay, let's go straight a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, you go.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm noticing right away, if you want to put the camera this way a little bit, the steering is stiff. It is much more stiff. From the low speed perspective, I feel more like it's weighted as if it doesn't even have power steering. But it's a heavy car. It's not a light car. So I'd assume that we're just going to go here. Yes. So it's all-wheel drive.
All-wheel drive still. We have
There you go.
110 pounds less in here than the regular, the standard, or the original Chiron, I should say.
Until I get in.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, and a lot of that has come from the rear wing hydraulics, which you mentioned on the walk around. But some of it's come from sound deadening as well. So you will notice in here that you hear a lot more of the engine noise. You hear a little bit more from the gearbox as well, from the transmission, and that's to do with the sound deadening and weight saving.
Also, I should note, like, I am 6 feet tall. I am 283 pounds, and I slide right into this car just fine.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the North American CEO is actually 6'6", ish, and he fits in. He can drive the cars, no problem at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me hold that camera a little bit this way. Just change the angle. There you go. So let's get on the freeway and stretch the legs a little bit as much as possible, you know, within the reasons, and see what the difference is. I wanna explain to you what I feel, and you can kind of concur or disagree or kind of school me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Since you are the professional, and I really appreciate you
no problem.
giving me this opportunity to drive you around.
Yeah.
It's like cooking for a world-class chef, you know.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Don't judge me, bro.
Yeah.
But for what it's worth, Bugatti invited me to drive their vehicles, and of course I am enthusiastic. I didn't get sleep for 4 days, and it's just so much excitement. But you'd think driving a car of this kind of stature, you would be nervous, and I am not nervous. You're probably nervous, but I'm not nervous. Yeah. But for me, it's like I think it's because I'm so connected to the road, and I'm in so much control. I feel like there's no reason to be worried, so I just don't worry. I'm just focused, which is really interesting because the Bugatti ethos is like driver-centric, right? Everything is focused on the driver. And they also say what you see is what you get. So in this interior, if you show this really expensive carbon fiber, I mean, this is a very nice, what are they, casted? I don't know how they do this, but...
I don't know, to be honest. Yeah, aluminum, so yeah, probably casted.
Oh, yeah. So mold, something? But it's wow. It's a centerpiece, and there's no screen in here, but you don't need a screen at all. That's, you know, when you're going 400 kilometers an hour, or what's the top speed of this? 230?
218 miles.
218.
Yeah.
When I'm going 218, I don't have time to look over here and like, you know, I'd do more audio. I'd be like, cop ahead.
Yeah.
We're not doing that today, but I'd still, that's where I'm coming from. If you're driving one of these, you know, I'm a little bit more confident in this one than I am in the Chiron Sport.
Yeah, right. It is more direct in its feel, and some people, you know, prefer that kind of direct feel. You know, you lose a little bit of refinement and comfort from that, and so it's not for everybody. But yeah, some people prefer the direct feel. I do personally. You know, I love the Pure Sport. I think it's a great car. If I was doing big miles in my Chiron, which you think, okay, well, who's doing that? But there are a lot of customers that actually do use their cars and put big miles onto them. Then maybe the Chiron Sport's the way you go. But the pure kind of driving feedback, yeah, Pure Sport's beautiful.
Yeah,
And it gives you that confidence.
It's let's do this a little bit. There we go.
Yep.
It's getting chilly in here, which is hard to say because we're in Houston, and Houston Bugatti is where this car is. And today, it gets humid down here, and the first thing that happened when the car turned on was the AC just started working, which is crazy for a very hybrid performance car. I mean, sometimes that stuff is low on the list of priorities. So good to know. Good to know. At one point, we'll be able to get around this traffic.
Yeah.
And patience is a virtue. It won't take long to get around anything in this vehicle, so it just gives me a chance to talk more with Jamie about what this car is about. So we did talk about the drive modes. We talked about pitch and stuff in the Sport, and I'm just wondering, like, from your perspective, is it any different in here, or is it really just a mechanical difference for the Pure Sport?
In terms of the drive modes, no. I mean, the drive modes work in the same way. The only thing that's different is that it's not affecting the rear wing. So in the Chiron Sport, when we change through the drive modes, we adjust the height and pitch of the wing depending which drive mode we're in. Whereas in the Pure Sport, we're purely adjusting really the suspension sort of feel to the car, so height and rigidity. The car is already quite a bit stiffer, so 65% on the front axle and 33% on the rear.
Okay.
In terms of spring stiffness. So as a baseline in EV mode, we are significantly stiffer than the Chiron Sport.
And we have the same size turbos. It's not like they
Yep.
they put more power into it. It's the same.
Yeah,
setup.
same torque
Okay.
curve, same power. The only difference in terms of the engine is we have an extra 200 RPM before the red line. So the red line in here is 6,900 RPM compared to 6,700 RPM in every other Chiron variant.
Okay. And, you know, weirdly, this exhaust system, I like the sound of it. It sounds more visceral, like
Yeah. Yeah. And
real race car sound.
yeah, totally. And again, a lot of that is actually from the sound deadening. We're just getting the noise into the cabin more than we do in the other variants.
Okay. All right. So now we're in the HOV lane. So there's two of us in the vehicle, so we can use this lane. I think at some point we'll just have to try what you mean about the red line once we can find a way to do it.
Yep.
I'm kind of boxed in here, actually. Here we go. Okay. So if you want to focus on the road there.
Yep.
Nice. So, you know, my eyes are always up though. Like, there's no heads-up display in here, which is fine. My eyes are up. I don't have any time to pay attention to any instruments other than the speed limit. And let's just say this car can accelerate just fine, and it brakes. It's astounding. Like, they didn't change the brakes other than the material, right? Is it the same material as the Sport?
Yeah, the only thing is a little bit different is on the bias because of not having the active rear wing, but
Okay.
no, essentially the braking system is identical.
Yeah.
So-
Driving these things back to back, I know that the when that wing came up as a brake, there was no difference in the brake feel on
Yeah.
from the pedal to the actual, like, the seat meter. My butt saying, "Hey, we're slowing down harder." It was a very smooth feel. So
Yeah.
in this car, it's the same smooth feel. It just doesn't have that assist,
Yeah.
which is fine. And I love the way the whoosh comes from these turbos.
Yeah, and again, you can hear it better in here than you can in the Chiron Sport. It's a great sound.
Yes, it's a once in a lifetime thing, guys. You know, if you get an opportunity, you say yes. You're very nice. It's courteous. I'm not gonna go nuts. I'm not gonna go full Matt Farah, but I'm gonna do my thing here. I saw the video, Matt. Good video. You got lucky, bro. Okay, it's open again. I think we'll go back to finding manual mode. So if we
Yep.
move this over one,
If you put a paddle for manual mode, it'll put
Okay.
it straight in. It'll
So-
say 1 to 6 on the dash.
wow. The world is my oyster. So between manual or sport mode,
Yep.
what's sport doing? Is it engaging the clutch quicker?
No, so all sport mode does is it will hold on to a gear up to higher in the rev range before it changes when you're part throttle, and it will change down a gear when you're slowing down earlier in the rev range. So full throttle is full throttle whether you're in paddles, D, S, doesn't make a difference. So it's purely gear change management.
Gear change management.
Yeah,
Okay.
essentially, yeah.
So the other key differences between the Pure Sport and the Sport would really just come down to aesthetics and the visceral experience. Like, I've heard that you can drift a car like this, right? And it's kind of set up for more of that aggressive style.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the additional drive mode we have with the Sport Plus mode, that is really, it allows the car to have more yaw. It backs off ESC even more than we do in handling mode. So yeah, in theory you can have more yaw on the car if you're on a racetrack. But you know, even then, you know, there's so much mechanical grip here. A, because of the large tyres, the very sticky tyres, particularly on Pure Sport with the Cup Sport R. It is difficult to get the car unsettled. You know, it's a very secure car.
It just sounds, the turbos in this one sound in line with the exhaust. Like there's there's a good mix of both noises. Yeah. And I think there actually is a feeling of, in the Sport there was like pure acceleration in the gear. In this one, I think it's the weight change that makes it feel slightly different. I feel like a little bit more of a surge is there.
Yep.
It could be me. I could be wrong. You can correct me on that.
No, I mean, and it depends what you're doing. Remember, our in-gear performance with the shorter ratio gearbox is a lot different. It's improved, so you tend to get that kind of, you know, if you're using the gearbox and you just start to put your foot down, it's there a little bit more urgently than it was in the Chiron Sport. Especially when we're in drive mode in the Chiron Sport, where you know that mode is really about refinement in terms of the gearbox. So you're actually very low in the rev range when you first start to put your foot down.
Now, in general, is the ride height lower?
On the Pure Sport, no, I don't believe so.
Good question.
Good question. Yeah, no, it's not. As far as I'm aware, no.
Okay.
It is purely the spring stiffness and actually the top mount stiffness as well for the front dampers. We're 150% stiffer than we are on the Chiron Sport. So.
Okay. Yeah. I can tell there's a definite stiffness everywhere.
Yeah.
The steering is noticeably heavier, but I'm not saying it's hefty and like gargantuan from maneuverability. I mean, I still feel like it's not twitchy. I think the camber has something to do with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the additional camber on it, you know, definitely weights up your steering as a natural byproduct. We can take that out with the electric motor. However, you know, people equate that to a sporty feel, so that's been left in.
I think we'll move over one. Yes. Yes. I think we'll get off at the next exit and flip around.
Sure.
I know we're sort of short on time this time. I do appreciate the seat time here. I do have a camera guy who needs to go get some footage for me, and I will let that happen. I'd say, like, normally driving, I mean, we're not driving at high performance right now on this public road, but when you're on the track, you gotta stay hydrated and stuff, so I'm looking forward to getting a bit of a break. Not because of the vehicle, but just because my adrenaline is I'm so amped up in both of these cars. And I feel like the adrenaline in this car, the rush I'm getting here is from the want to just bank it. I want to just go through some corners. And I think if I was on a track, we would be having a lot of serious time on the track. They're your tires, though. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. You'd be having a good time on track. I might not be having such a good time.
Yeah. Just keep your eyes up. I want to roll the windows down, see if we can hear the... I know we've got lav mics on. Let's see, put it in manual mode. Second gear. That's a deep sound.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, like, if you were to pass like an old school, like old Western style gas station, they'd be like, "What was that?" You know, like
Yeah.
you'd be laughing your ass off. It'd be fantastic. It seems like pushing it a little bit is easy to do. Bit of a corner. So the throttle application in corners, like obviously you don't want to accelerate too soon before you exit, and I mean, we're not trail braking here, but this kind of car, like on a track, can you give me your best advice for someone who's like, yeah, I want to take my Pure Sport to the track, like, or someone who wants to just know, like, how extremely different could this be to, I don't know, like your typical race setup?
Right. Yeah, I mean, you know, an all-wheel drive vehicle, so that's the key thing. With an all-wheel drive car, your weak point generally will always be the front end. So it always helps. You're looking for rotation going into the corner. So definite trail braking, weight management, actually keeping weight over the front axle as you turn in and take the car into the apex is really key. And then everything that you would do in any other car, front wheel drive or rear wheel drive, is exaggerated. So our throttle application wants to be really, really smooth, so that we don't lift up the front and create understeer, but also we don't want to put too much power through the front wheels, being all-wheel drive, which again will create understeer. So having pitch on the car as you turn in by trail braking, keeping that in as far as we can into the apex, nice and deep, and then really, really progressive on the throttle on the exit. And then actually, the counter to that is once you have the car pointing out the corner and straight, then you can actually be a bit more aggressive than perhaps you would be in a rear-wheel drive car, getting back to full throttle, because you have the all-wheel drive traction.
You sound like you've done this before.
I've done it a couple of times, yeah.
Okay, so I think I'll try some. I know that there are some patrols up there in the center lane. I'm not sure what that's about, but
Right.
I think we'll show passing power one more time.
So
Like
this one?
Yeah, it'll
Yep.
do show. Yeah. It's easier to show speed when there's
reference?
it's not stationary, but
Yeah.
on camera.
Yeah.
It's like when we do the off-road shots, like in person you're like, oh my God. And then
Yeah.
on camera you just go, man, that was it.
Yeah, right.
And I think in a car, there's something about the way a camera can flatten all aspects.
Yeah.
And the full-on experience though is that you cannot duplicate it. It's a hard job. I know your job is to do like the action shots, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you do more than one take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's difficult, you know, exactly what you're saying. It's difficult to make things look fast, and you know, camera does flatten everything. But also, you know, especially for TV and movie, you know, sometimes they do it in commercial and stuff, but TV and movie stuff, if you try and speed it up, it just doesn't work. So.
Oh yeah, let's speed up the camera. Yeah. That's old school. That's old school.
It looks
Yeah.
terrible.
I think we should do a launch of this one, but I don't know where we can do it from.
Well, we've now got the launch has been turned off, so we don't have it active right now.
Okay.
Because the car has done, but in fact on both cars, so the car's done, we did some filming stuff on track 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So they disengage it before it heads back into the dealer to have a look at it.
I wonder, if we can do a 0 to 60 in this, because it's the same as the Chiron Sport.
Pretty much, it's a tenth.
Tenth faster.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's primarily because that initial off the line, your limiting factor now is traction, really, more than anything else. So yeah, once we start getting moving and get up above 60, the differences get bigger and bigger.
Because by the time it switches to second gear, it's already going to be in 60 at 60 miles an hour.
Right.
Because it can go up to 54 at first. So, well, maybe it's a little different here because you changed the ratio.
But we have the additional 200 RPM on the rev range, which counts as that in terms of.
There's a cop.
There it is.
Now, I'm gonna be doing the speed limit like I always do. No, officer, it is not my car. There's so much control. I just have no idea how I can explain this. How do I? You know what just happened? Like the whole lane change, capability maneuvering. Like I was in full control. I felt like a god. I don't know what to say.
And one of the things that I highlight to people is that we know this is a 4,400 pound car, so it is not an out and out, it's not a 2,500 pound car. Sometimes that can people can make comments on that, but actually if you think about a race car with aero and a wing, we actually measure the aero. If we increase wing on the race car, we measure it in pounds. The engineers measure it in pounds. So weight pushes the vehicle into the floor. And for things like traction, you think of a 911 with weight over the rear, it gives it traction. So that's why this car feels so stable and secure. We have some weight there, we have big tires, we have all-wheel drive. It feels very planted.
Yeah, in the Chiron Sport, I was like, yes, this is nice, and this is cool. I feel so confident and collected. In this car, I feel like an animal. I feel like I need to try the top speed. Like I gotta go, but I can't. I know.
That little devil on your shoulder.
Oh. Yeah, but that's the difference. I just want to say the feeling is real. Like you might think, oh, it's just a trend, like a trim and another version. No, this is legit different. Yeah, and I think that the softer compound makes a big difference for the handling, more so than the ride. And
oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. The soft compound is purely designed for handling and traction, so we can hold more lateral grip in the tire, and better traction off the line.
I think what I need this car for like a week to really determine that.
Right. I'll pass it on for you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Just put me on that list.
Put a good word in.
Yeah. Yeah, this is so awesome. Thank you, and if you're watching this, be sure to thank Bugatti as well by giving this video a thumbs up and leaving a comment and telling them how much you appreciate letting someone like me drive both of their cars. It's definitely a once in a lifetime chance, I think. Hope not, but yes, very, very cool stuff. This is a very extremely, I can't even talk right now. Like the connection that I have to the road and the power that I have, and I'm not really even focusing on the attention that we're getting, but just the capability I know that's under my right foot and in front of me and behind me. This is just I don't know how to explain it. Like, I feel like I am one with the car, and as big as I am as a dude who works out at a gym with a bunch of MMA fighters, which is a true story, I don't feel like I'm cramped at all. Like, I've driven a 911 Turbo S, and I've driven the Toyota Supra, which is the smallest car I've ever driven, but there's nothing in here that ever sets it. Nothing ever feels like it's going to go wrong. Of course, like, I'm not pushing it to the very limits, but I feel like the way I can drive it is, I could do this all day. I don't think I'd ever get tired of experiencing this. This is like the roughest stretch of road we're on. It feels fun though. Interesting. Oh, sorry.
I was lucky that the traffic has been good to us down there, and just sort of, it's only just a little bit.
Yeah, we did luck out a little bit. Hopefully you can get some B-roll before. I mean, it's not even 1:30, is it?
1:20.
Oh man. Well, ooh, man, wow. that got nailed. All right, so we want 9B.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Yeah, I think with this traffic, that's kind of the end of that journey. But now we just stuck in commuter traffic, commuting in my Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport. No big deal.
Like
Look at all the space they're giving me.
Yeah, right.
Look at all the space. It's ridiculous. It's like, I find it entertaining. Like, the sticker price includes gas guzzler tax, but it does not include sales tax. And if you were to buy one of these at sticker price, which I'm not even going to get into the whole discussion on price or anything, just the sales tax alone in the state of Texas, though, at 6.25%, it's or 6.5%, something like that. It's over $240,000 in sales tax, which is twice the price of my house. So, yeah, there's some serious use cases for this kind of car. Like, I can imagine people like, oh, if, you know, they could buy a jet for that, and I think, yeah, they could. But at the same time, simultaneously, there are people who are afraid to fly and can't afford a jet, and I think those people would love to have one of these because they wouldn't be afraid. And I can tell you that driving this, just little old me driving a car in this traffic at this price tag, I am not afraid of this. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Although you, Jamie, have driven this in other cities as well.
Yep.
It just seems to be like there's mad respect, bro.
Yeah. Everybody loves the car that you come across, and yeah, you know, everybody wants to talk to you when you get fuel, and yeah, it gets a really good reception everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And funnily, what I find is that often people love the car for the look of it, and they don't necessarily at first realize it's a Bugatti, and even if they know it's a Bugatti, they don't know the value of the car. So they 9 times out of 10 they'll ask you what the value is, and then you know, so they're coming over initially because they like the look of it, and like, that's a cool car. I love the look of it. What is it? How much is it? How fast is it?
Now, I have nerded out on the other Chiron Sport video where we talked about all of the cool technical stuff. So if you want to know more technical stuff about the Pure Sport that's not just Pure Sport related, but more Chiron related, go watch that. It's an hour-long video, Nerd Fest. I had a good time making it. I really appreciate Jamie's help with that. And we're going to come to an end real soon here in a couple minutes because we're coming up on the dealership, and my time is to, like, I've totally juiced the whole amount of time. Like, we maximized it. And I will also be on the radio in a short amount of time. It's going to be called Let's Talk Wheels, and that should be on the air in April at some time. So you'll hear me discuss this car as well with Jamie. So thank you for watching, and yeah, this is an incredible experience. I would say that my favorite one. This is a hard thing. I do love that Chiron Sport just for the smoothness and the svelte. It's so sophisticated and complex from a lifestyle feeling way. But this car is like, I'm gonna take over the world. So I don't know how to explain anything other than that. We didn't even try to brake hard in here, so I think for what it's worth, like, all the carbon fiber details, all of the information that I can spew on this video, I've already done on the previous video. So please be sure to watch that one. It's definitely worth it. And yeah, that's it, the Pure Sport. What'll happen is we'll get out and I'll just do another walk around. We'll hear this thing tick cool, and yeah. Step aside, bitches. I mean, this is the place of places to be seen, and wow. Woo. Okay, so we'll just put that in park. Do you set the park and brake? Yeah, we weren't really track driving,
yeah.
So pull up down there, and that's it. Cool. Thank you again, Jamie. Yeah, oh yeah, I'm not going to forget that. That's the best part of French design, right? This is entirely billeted out of one piece.
Yeah, someone was telling me about, actually not that long ago, someone was telling me about this, and I've never heard one though. I love that.
Yeah. It was, so when it's open, the gas is coming out.
Right. Okay.
We're in a car. I'm not going to light it, but the fuel that's in here, this thing actually is the bladder made out of one piece.
Right. Okay.
So there's no like extra part inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is almost solid state except for the striker. Obviously.
And what is it made out of?
That is a lot of different metals. It's gold plated, but it's actually made out of I think silver and nickel, maybe copper. I'm not sure actually. You're definitely paying for it.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But I bought it because I was celebrating a contract that I got, and I was like, yep, I'm down on this. This is just like an heirloom piece anyway. It'll just be in the family. So
beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
But it's French, and so is Bugatti.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's actually oh yeah. Right on. Okay. Oh yes.